Subway.
Dia mengingatkan, it reminds me of Subway, right? Well, dia pun jual sandwich, right? Tapi dia jual ada burger juga. So maybe between Ranza and Subway di Malaysia. But then maybe the product may be a little bit different sebab dia ada jual burger juga. Yes, okay. Alright, okay, cool. Thanks, Wan Aiman Razin.
Alright.
Putri Nur Hasha Hurin. Where are you? Putri Nur Hasha. Putri Nur Hasha. Hilang dah. Nurul Syazwani. Where is Nurul Syazwani? Where is Nurul Syazwani?
Sir.
Yes.
Can I ask? Let's say kalau Cyberbait tu, kalau kita include gambar-gambar makanan dia, boleh kira Cyberbait ke? So macam
see our menu.
So macam let's say macam Lunza ni kan tak ada kat Malaysia kan. So macam untuk kita macam yang tak tahu ni kan, and then tengok macam makanan dia macam atraktif macam tu, benda tu boleh lead kita untuk tengok menu dia and explore apa ada kat website ni. So benda tu boleh cakap Cyberbait juga ke?
Boleh. Cyberbait is anything which attract the consumer to log into your website or log into your site and also stay in your site. So whatever that serve that purpose will be Cyberbaits. Dia macam baits lah, macam umpan. When you go to fishing, right? So ada umpan, right? So that is umpan lah. So you what is your umpan to get the fish? So what is your umpan to get the consumer? So that is baits, cyber baits. But this is cyber. Maksudnya umpan yang diletak dalam internet, dalam cyber. Apa umpan yang awak nak letak? To get the fish, to get the consumer. Alright. Mana ni Nurul Syazwani ni? Mana? Nurul Syazwani, where are you? Not here.
Boleh saya try tak?
Boleh. Nazatul Shima. Right?
Okay. So kalau soalan nombor 3 tu Aisyah?
Yes. I'm about to ask that question number 3. Yes.
Okay. So contoh kalau Ranza Restaurant ni dia nak guna mobile marketing kan, satu dia dah ada website. Basically kita dah tahu dia dah ada website. So secondly dia boleh guna untuk apps, mobile apps. Contoh dia Ranza application. So dari situ kita, contoh dia macam kita boleh tengok apps MACD kan. So contoh Ranza pun boleh buat macam tu juga. So daripada situ kita tak payah nak pergi kat website dia, kita just pergi kat apps, dia punya app sahaja. So dari situ kita boleh tengok dia punya menu, kita boleh order delivery daripada apps tu.
So that is your mobile marketing using apps.
So selain daripada tu dia boleh juga buat marketing through Facebook. Macam dia cakap kat dalam ni dia ada add menu baru Spicy Jack yang customer dah pilih dari from Facebook. So maksud dia buat kontes dalam Facebook.
Alright, but then for number 3 you just confirm your answer on mobile marketing. Yang Facebook tu nanti you save for other question. Mungkin kita akan tanya dekat sana. Alright, so just maksudnya kalau question number 3 tu dia kata on mobile marketing. So you just concentrate on mobile marketing. So your suggestion just now is to use mobile apps. Then you just elaborate on mobile apps. What is the why you choose mobile apps?
Okay. Contoh kan kalau macam kita buat mobile apps, kita boleh masukkan promotion dalam tu. Contoh dia macam kalau kita sekarang ni kan saya bagi contoh Aisyah MACD. Katakanlah MACD kan ada mobile apps kan. So dalam tu ada promotion tau. Dekat apps tu ada satu part untuk deals. So dalam deals tu semua promotion yang ada. So daripada situ kita boleh tahu apa promotion yang ada, kita boleh order terus daripada situ.
Okay. Yes, you're right. But before you go to that territory, right? Whatever you want is there in the apps. Why do you choose mobile apps? That is the question. Maksudnya, kenapa mobile apps? Kenapa bukan website?
Okay, sebab kalau website kadang-kadang kita susah tau. Kadang-kadang like macam kita kat rumah ada certain orang tu susah nak buka Google ataupun nak buka contoh macam dalam phone Safari ke apa-apa kan. Maybe dia orang ada kerja ke apa-apa. So basically kalau kita guna apps, Ranza apps application dalam phone, so basically dia senang kat situ. So macam-macam ada dalam tu.
Yep.
So kalau guna website, kita tak boleh nak dapat notification straight kepada kita. Kalau macam kita guna apps, kita akan dapat notification tu.
Oh, and also you may wanted to talk about how many clicks are required to go to website and how many clicks do you require to go to apps. Maksudnya kata kalau kita ambil McDonald's apps lah, for example, right? It's one click that it goes to McDonald's website. McDonald's punya site, okay. And then kalau website, you need to go to first you go to Google, for example, and then you need to click. You need to write in McDonald's, right? Then you click. Then dia akan pergi kepada McDonald's. Maksudnya search.
Dia banyak step. Kalau macam guna application dia terus keluar je, tak payah nak klik sana sini.
So you need to talk about that as well. Sebab satu, you need to look at from the perspective of the consumer, right? It's easier to use apps because the number of clicks. Rather compared to website. Because website you need to Google, dapat result, and then you need to click, then only you go to the website. Even then, pergi kat website pun dia akan ada banyak macam Ranza website ni, dia ada macam-macam cerita. Kadang-kadang you just wanted to order. You doesn't want to look at the history, you doesn't want to look at the locations, you know that. So you do not want to know that. You just wanted to order, right? So if you have a what do you call this mobile apps, when you click, it goes to straight away on the menu.
Betul.
What do you want?
Lagi satu kadang-kadang kalau kat website kadang-kadang dia buffering lama sangat.
Perhaps, yes, correct. You're right on that. So you need to answer this question based on the perspective of the consumer. How easy for the consumer to make an order. Alright. But then kejap ya. But then you must see that this is in terms of making an order. Maksudnya nak buat order makanan. But kekurangan apps kat sini ialah you cannot tell story. Maksudnya compared to website, dia boleh cerita pasal dia punya history, dia cerita pasal dia punya employee dia, what they have done for CSR, for example, kan. So dia ada kekurangan dia. Maksudnya apps they have a specific purpose on selling, but website is more on giving information. Okay, so if you cover that, then your answer will be quite comprehensive. Okay, thanks, Nazar. Alright. Okay, question number 4. Putri Nur Hasyiah Hurin. Kat mana? Putri Nur Hasyiah Hurin ni dia asyik keluar dan masuk. Alright, dia ada masalah internet ke apa? Nur Fatin Elmira. Question number 5. Question number 3. Sorry.
Number 3 ke number 4, sir?
Number 4. Sorry. Where are you, Nur Fatin Elmira? Where are you?
Saya. Sekejap.
Bolehlah aku salah sikit.
Okay, sir. Sir nampak saya tak?
Yes, now I saw you. Alright.
Okay, nombor 4 ni saya rasa location based advertising kalau kita buat dekat social media. Contohnya buat advertising menggunakan Facebook.
Okay, what's the meaning of location based advertising? Maksudnya location based advertising. Lepas tu, you tengok dekat second limb of the question. Which form of geo-targeting would you use? Why? Maksudnya apa geo-targeting ni apa? Nur Fatin Elmira.
So yang nombor 4 ni saya kurang faham, tapi kalau yang geo-targeting ni contohnya demografik kalau kita nak buat advertising tu
sebab tu saya buat this case study. I can make sure that you understand the question. Alright?
Okay.
Before you can answer. So this is a part where we learn on understanding the question and then baru kita cari jawapan. So no problem, Nur Fatin Elmira. So geo-targeting maksudnya based on what? Tadi awak kata based on demographic. Demographic based on what? Locations, correct?
Location,
Okay. So now macam mana awak nak buat location based advertising based on location?
Okay, based on location, contohnya kalau kita buka dekat Malaysia, kita boleh target contoh Kuala Lumpur, Puchong ke Klang Valley. Tapi kalau orang, kita boleh setkan dia contohnya fast food boleh ke sir? Burger.
Burger, okay. Awak nak target fast food and burger. Alright, now okay, katakanlah let's take Puchong for example. Okay, katalah Ranza Restaurant buka kat Puchong. Alright. Or any location yang mana yang awak familiar location?
Putrajaya. Putrajaya.
You stay at Putrajaya, is it?
Ya, betul.
Okay. So katakanlah Ranza buka kat Putrajaya. Okay, so how can Ranza attract people from Putrajaya? So that is the question. You just bayangkan benda tu. So kalau kat Putrajaya kan, based on the product Ranza ni, macam mana awak nak target orang yang dekat Putrajaya ni nak pergi ke Ranza Restaurant? Apakah advertisement yang akan awak buat?
Advertisement yang saya akan buat, maybe keluarkan advertisement about launch kedai tu.
Okay, launching. Okay.
Ataupun buat promotion untuk pembukaan. Contoh dapat 50% ke kalau kita pergi pada hari tu.
Sebelum tu mesti ada lawatan kerja untuk tengok tempat lah kan sebelum awak lawatan kerja. Alright. Okay,
tapi saya macam kurang faham lah.
Alright. Okay. Which one awak tak faham? Lawatan kerja. Lawatan kerja tu I just a joke. No, the word lawatan kerja sekarang is a joke, right? Now, soalan ni ialah bagaimana katakanlah Ranza tu ada dekat sesuatu tempat. Sebab kalau awak baca dekat dia punya case study ni, dia ada sebut kat mana location Ranza ni.
Betul.
Okay, so sekarang ni katakanlah Ranza ni, kalau nak jawab soalan ni, awak cuba bayangkan katakanlah Ranza ni buka dekat Putrajaya. Okay, bagaimana awak nak tarik orang-orang dekat Putrajaya untuk datang kepada Ranza Restaurant ni? So now you already say that katakanlah nak launching. You wanted to advertise about the launching. So now how do you wanted to advertise the launching of this outlet dekat Putrajaya? Awak nak guna banting ke, awak nak guna brochures ke, ataupun
saya rasa banting kot.
Banting, alright. Okay. So now sebab kenapa saya tak sebut social media here, because it is very location is very specific. Okay, so kalau awak buat social media mungkin kat kawasan lain pun akan dapat, tapi awak nak target sekarang kat Putrajaya je.
Okay, so saya dah faham. Contohnya kan macam kat Putrajaya ni, before PKP kan selalu buat macam event kan. So before hari event tu, dekat highway Putrajaya mesti akan ada billboard yang letak event tu setiap jalan.
Right.
So kalau saya buat macam tu lah kan, maksud dia.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
faham.
meaning of geo-targeting, meaning an advertisement targeting that particular geographical area sahaja.
Okay.
Right? Macam katakanlah awak nak buka outlet kat Langkawi for example. Kan? So awak kenalah pergi ke lawatan kerja ke Langkawi. You know that? So lebih kurang sama. Okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you sir.
Alright. Okay, nombor 5. Okay, nombor 5. Nombor 5 siapa ni? Nur Husnina. Nur Husnina. Where are you, Nur Husnina?
Yes sir, sekejap hilang pula soalan.
Jangan hilangkan soalan.
Dia salah buka.
Explain how behavior targeting would be useful to an individual Ranza manager. Okay, now, what's the meaning of behavior targeting ni?
Behavior.
Okay, now, I give you a hint. Siapa agak-agak orang yang suka makan makanan kat Ranza? When you look at the menu kan? Look at the menu, who are the most likely people who going to buy those product? Orang yang akan beli produk tu siapa? Kalau awak baca dekat
orang yang macam nak cepat kot sir.
Okay, orang nak cepat.
Macam
siapa orang
bekerja.
Orang yang bekerja.
Nak cepat. So macam sandwich kan macam kenyang sikit.
Okay. So targeting orang yang bekerja. Orang yang bekerja. Alright. And then apa lagi? Orang yang nak bekerja sebab dia nak cepat lagi. Lagi? Ada lagi?
Orang muda.
Why orang muda?
Sebab orang muda kan suka makanan yang pelik-pelik macam ni. Ikutlah.
Alright. Okay, now maksudnya sekarang ni apa behavior yang awak dah identify kat sini? Orang yang nak cepat dengan youngsters.
Youngsters.
Right? So now, okay, based on that, cuba awak jawab nombor 5 ni. How behavior targeting would be useful to an individual Ranza restaurant manager? Then design a behavior targeting program that could be used by Ranza. Okay, so sekarang awak dah ada 2 orang. Ada 2 jenis orang yang awak nak target. Orang yang bekerja dengan yang muda. Right now. So what is the targeting program yang awak boleh buat to target these 2 people, these 2 type of people?
Maksudnya manager ke yang buat je? Tak faham sangat soalan nombor 5 ni.
Maksudnya katakanlah awak ialah manager Ranza restaurant kan? Okay. Dan awak dah identify 2 orang atau 2 jenis orang yang awak rasa akan belilah your product. Satu, people on the go, meaning people of career, orang yang selalu bekerja. So dia tak ada masa nak makan lunch yang lama. Kedua, orang muda. Alright, why? Because you say that the product is quite unique according to you, right? So youngsters may be attracted to the product. Macam mana advertisement ataupun marketing program yang akan awak buat untuk tarik to these 2 kind of people?
Marketing dekat macam LRT station okey tak sir? Macam buat poster.
Why LRT station?
Sebab selalunya youngsters ataupun orang kerja akan guna LRT station kan. Macam nak pergi ke tempat yang diorang nak pergi. So macam at least kalau ada Ranza restaurant tu buka dekat salah satu LRT station tu ke, at least sepanjang perjalanan nak ke destinasi tu diorang nampak iklan Ranza and tengok Ranza dekat sini, so senang terus grab and go.
Alright, cool.
Okey tak sir? Betul tak?
Meaning you got the idea lah. Then how about macam what do you call this program? Maksudnya discount program. So you give brochures to tempat kerja, right? And the universities. Okay, if they use this brochures, then they get discount. Is that viable? Itu nampak macam okey tak okey your marketing program tu?
Rasanya macam better guna yang mobile apps tu kot. So kalau macam diorang download mobile apps tu, Ranza tu, and then kalau yang download je boleh dapat diskaun. Macam 5% ke apa ke.
Okay, cool. Boleh. Right. Now I want to talk about orang yang bekerja. Then how do you attract this orang bekerja apart from advertise dekat LRT? So, awak nak target awak nak advertise kat mana lagi? Orang bekerja dekat mana? Dengan student dekat mana? Where do they always hang out?
Dekat mall.
Dekat mall.
Tapi kan sir, kalau macam contoh kan Ranza ni dia tak dekat Malaysia tak ada
Tak ada.
So macam contoh kan kalau dia masuk Malaysia and then dia kan macam lebih kurang macam Subway. So orang mesti nak try sebab macam macam Subway je macam tu. So mesti orang akan macam, so orang sebab kita dah biasa makan Subway kan, so dia mesti nak try makan Ranza juga macam sama ke macam tu. Good.
Something reminds me Nur Husnina.
Nah.
Okay, because last night my wife give me this bakery. People to go dinner dekat bakery, right? Actually dinner dekat bakery, this bakery tu dia tak adalah macam our usual dinner, tapi semua orang pergi kat situ because it is the place itself is Instagrammable. Okay, then we relate this with your answer just now. Let's say you wanted to target youngsters, right? You wanted to target youngsters. So why not making that Ranza restaurant looks Instagrammable, meaning kalau orang ambil Instagram dekat situ nampak cantik.
Faham.
Alright. So this behavioral targeting program lah. Maksudnya you already know who is your target market. Then you know what are their behavior. Tadi awak dah kata okay, the behavior of this orang-orang yang awak target ialah diorang akan ambil LRT untuk pergi ke kerja ke universiti. So you letak your punya posters ataupun advertisement dekat LRT. Okay. So then again, that's not cannot be the only one. You kena target kat tempat banyak lagi. So you look at the behavior. Diorang hang out kat mana? Awak kata kat mall. Alright, cool. And then mereka gunakan apps. Cool. Alright, because youngsters and orang bekerja ni dia very well versed with technology. Alright. And then how about youngsters? Youngsters dengan orang bekerja ni, diorang since they are very well versed with technology, they are maybe into the social media. So how can we get these people to about your restaurant in the social media? Okay, maksudnya get people to viral. Maksudnya awak tak bayar diorang tapi mereka sendiri yang ambil gambar dan post dekat Instagram. Word of mouth, yeah. So how can get these people to give a free advertisement for you? Alright. So that's number 5. Thanks Nur Husnina. Okay, number 6. Okay, number 6 ni kalau kita buat dekat kelas, okay, physical class, kita boleh buat design a banner ad for Ranza restaurant. I won't do this dekat online class. Okay, number 7. Okay, number 7. This one I open. Okay, I open to all. Okay, you examine the website again, and then you list 10 words that could be used for a search engine optimization program. Okay, now you look at the website, then what is the first thing, first word that come across your mind which describe Ranza restaurant or Ranza product? I give you one example, health. Sandwich, health. Okay. Lagi? Sedap. Okay, lagi?
Kalau best seller sir?
Best seller. Okay, kenapa best seller?
Kalau macam ada certain products dia, macam tak kisahlah if it's a sandwich or a burger, tapi that is the main product. Macam orang memang selalu beli.
Okay. Okay, now. Katakanlah you type in best seller. Okay, you type in best seller tapi lepas tu keluar Ranza sandwich. My point is, how do you relate best seller dengan Ranza sandwich? Macam tadi Big kata sedap, tapi maybe you wanted to add some more sandwich sedap. Okay, because you nak kaitkan sedap atau bila orang type in, you just imagine you go to Google, then you type in sandwich sedap. Okay, then keluar Ranza sandwich. Tapi kalau you pergi dekat Google dan you type in, let's say, best seller, keluar Ranza sandwich. Okay, now, what is the relevancy here? I know that you say that orang selalu beli dekat Ranza restaurant certain item, but then ni orang yang pertama kali pergi ke dekat dia pergi dekat Google, pertama kali dia nak cari what they call this sandwich, for example. They just type in best seller. Okay, so is that have any relevant ke tak? That is my question. Tapi kalau let's say I refine a little bit, okay? Refine a little bit. Maybe awak tak kata best seller tapi awak kata sandwich viral, for example. Okay, so is that any relevant tak sandwich viral compared to best seller?
Relevant sebab kalau best seller tu dia lebih apa orang kata open. Kalau sandwich viral tu dia tertutup pada sandwich je. So saya rasa boleh keluar lah.
So anything else? Saya tak kata tu silap ya. Maybe betul. But then I just wanted to ask your opinion lah. Maksudnya, is that relevant or not? Just your justification is the most important thing, Farah Notsra. I'm not saying that you're wrong, Farah Notsra. You just need to justify your answer. That's all. If you can justify, then you are at the right track. Lagi? Ada tak?
A garden fresh salad, sir? Boleh ke?
Boleh. Okay, no problem. Lagi?
Homemade sandwich boleh ke?
Homemade sandwich. Ranza restaurant ni homemade ke apa?
Sebab tengok dekat website tu, dekat depan dekat dia punya gambar restoran yang kat belah atas tu kan boleh.
Dia kata apa? Homemade. Is it? Kat mana?
Dekat website tu dia tulis homemade. Sekejap.
Homemade.
Di belah-belah atas tu yang patty pack tu kan boleh tengok snack. Dia tulis homemade fresh.
Oh, okey, dekat dia punya. Okey, kat atas ni fish sandwich. Lagi apa? We are hiring. Lagi? We ship. Lagi?
Kalau macam Russian specialty.
Russian specialty.
Sebab dia bila baca balik kan dia macam Russian punya company base kan. So macam Malaysian obviously tak tahu Russian food. So macam it's a new thing lah.
Okay. Alright. Okay, okay. 2 questions now. Homemade, yes. Okay, homemade sandwich, you're right. And then what do you call this? Russian something. Okay, I miss out on the Russian thingy. But if it is true, then yes. Okay, Russian what Russian sandwich, something like that. Okay, so yeah, okay, perhaps why not? Why not? Okay, cool. Alright, so this case study, okay, dia punya objektif dia senang saja. Alright, one, dia nak awak lihat on the website, how do you differentiate not only the product but how do you differentiate the website. And then the second objective of this case study ialah untuk you look at the website, then how do you see what is the not the best website, meaning what is a good website looks like. Maksudnya bagaimana website yang bagus kelihatan, bagaimana nak nampakkan website tu nampak cantik. Alright, untuk tarik orang tengok awak punya program ataupun your menu, you know that. So those are the objective of the case study. Alright, ada soalan lagi tak? Ada tak soalan tentang this case study? Tak ada?
Tak ada.
Okay. Tak ada, alright. So, can you look at the week 8, okay, week nombor 8, okay, sales promotion, point of purchase advertising and support media. Okay, now look at the PDF file by the name of sales promotion. Okay, sales promotion. Okay, the PDF file. Dapat tak? Awak akan nampak satu pemandangan dalam kedai coklat. You got it?
Dapat sir.
Alright. So basically this is the the keynote presentation, but then I changed to PDF, yeah. Okay, now sales promotion in store marketing. So this is our lecture today, what we're going to discuss today. So now basically when we talk about sales promotion, okay, it consists of all the incentive. Maksudnya insentif yang kita offer to customer and channel members to encourage product purchases. Okay, for this topic dia ada dua. Satu, sales to consumer. Satu lagi, sales promotion to what they call this channel members. Channel members ni maksudnya kalau customer tu you and I lah, is the customer, right? Channel members ni maksudnya katakanlah awak, you are the manufacturer. Okay, you are the manufacturer. Channel members are the wholesaler and the retailers. How do you get the wholesaler and the retailers to channel the product to your end user? Maksudnya to the customers. So sales promotion dia ada dua, satu to the customer, satu lagi kepada channel members. Okay, tapi dua-dua awak kadang-kadang memberikan sales promotion. Okay, why? Because you wanted to increase your sales. Okay, so that is the objective of today's lecture. Okay, maksudnya sales promotion to the customer, and secondly sales promotion to the channel members. Channel members are ialah macam wholesaler and also the retailers. Maksudnya orang-orang yang akan membantu awak untuk sampaikan barang tu kepada the end user, which is the customers. Okay, so that is the topic for today. So now you go to the next page. Okay, dia kata sales promotion take two forms. Ni apa yang saya terangkan tadi. Satu, consumer promotions, meaning that promotion is directly to your potential customers, the end user. Okay, your customer. Secondly, trade promotion. Okay, trade promotion ni ialah to the members of the marketing channel, macam wholesaler dan juga retailers. Okay, that is sales promotion. Ada dua benda macam saya terangkan tadi, consumer promotion dan trade promotion. Okay, go to the next. Dia tanya balik, what are the differences between consumer promotion and trade promotion? Maksudnya At this stage, you must be able to differentiate between consumer promotions and trade promotions. Okay, you must be able to differentiate. You must be able to explain. Kalau saya tanya, what is the meaning of trade promotions? You must be able to explain what is a trade promotion. Kalau saya tanya what is the consumer promotion, then you must be able to explain. So at this juncture, at this stage, you must be able to explain and differentiate between consumer promotion and trade promotion. Okay? Alright, semua tahu what is the difference? Muhammad Ashraf Hidayat, tahu tak apa perbezaannya? Muhammad Ashraf Hidayat.
Saya boleh.
Okay. Right. Consumer promotion means you make a promotions directly to your customers. Okay, the end user like you and I. Kita adalah all consumers, right? We all customers. Trade promotions ialah promotions given to your retailers, promotion given to your wholesalers, marketing channel. Maksudnya orang yang awak gunakan untuk menjual barang kepada your end user. Because for example, let's say you are a manufacturer. Okay, your job is just to manufacture. You do not have a retail shop. You do not have a wholesaler warehouse. So you need have to have this wholesaler and juga retailers untuk jual barang awak kepada end users. Correct? Muhammad Ashraf Hidayat.
Kalau kata trade promotion ni, lebih kita boleh cakap macam dropship kan. Sebab dropship kan dia ada harga untuk dropship dan dropship akan jual pada harga yang tu.
Correct. So the wholesaler ke ataupun retailers tu contoh. Tapi any members of your marketing channel is your trade promotion. Maksudnya promosi yang awak berikan kepada your marketing channel. Tak kira lah dia wholesaler ke, tak kira ada retailer ke, dia dropship ke, dia agent ke. Alright? Tapi apa promotion yang awak berikan pada mereka? Untuk actually menjual barang awak. Okay, Muhammad Ashraf? So dia maksudnya consumer ni consumer promotion ni ialah promotion kepada consumer. Tapi trade promotion ni ialah, you look at the word trade, right? So trade ni dia bukan consumer. Trade ialah those who are doing a business, correct? So kalau wholesaler dia buat business wholesaling. Kalau dia retailer dia buat business retailing. Kalau dia dropship atau agent dia buat business juga. Sebab dia ambil barang tu daripada manufacturer dan dia jual kepada end user, correct? Muhammad Ashraf?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so you at this juncture you must be able to tell the difference and the definitions between the two. Okay, alright. Right, go to the next slide. Okay, this is the question. Another slide. How can the various forms of consumer help to pull consumers into stores and push product onto the shelf? Okay, this is a question, right? How can the various forms of consumers help to pull consumers into stores and push product onto the shelf? Okay, this is okay. Just keep this question in mind. Okay, whereas we go through after kita habis this lecture, after we finish this session, then you go and revisit this question again and try to answer the question. Kalau tak jumpa juga, go and find out. Go and Google. Know that. Alright, now go to the next slide. Consumer promotion ni apa? Okay, there's a lot of promotion yang awak boleh gunakan for consumer. There are a lot of ways. There's a lot of promotions for you to attract the consumer. One by way of coupon. Okay, coupon can be last time can be physical. Now you may have a what they call digital coupon. Kan coupon ni ialah kalau macam yang what they call this yang physical tu kadang-kadang from brochures. Dia ada yang boleh awak gunting dan awak akan gunakan pergi ke kedai bawa that piece of coupon dan awak boleh dapat something, okay, from the retailers, that coupon. It can also have in form of digital. Okay, I always got this digital coupon, meaning to say, if I sign up for something, then they give me a digital coupon, meaning in terms of numbers. Okay, let's say if I make a next purchase, just use this number to get a discount, for example, for the next purchase. That's digital coupon. What are the advantage of using a coupon? Apa advantage guna coupon? What do you think? What is it, in your opinion, what is the advantage of using coupon as a promotion? Muhammad Farhan, what is your opinion? Muhammad Farhan?
Macam mana, sir?
Soalan saya, apakah kebaikan ataupun advantage menggunakan kupon dalam menarik pelanggan? Where are you, Muhammad Farhan?
Oh, sekejap saya.
Okay, Farhan.
Yes, sir.
Opinion. What is the advantage of using coupon?
As a business, yes, sir.
Yes.
So, dapat tarik lagi ramai orang datang sebab diorang dapat lagi murah. Untuk kalau dapat macam discount punya promotion.
Okay, kenapa orang tertarik kalau dia dapat kupon?
Sebab dapat save duit, sir. Macam student. Untuk tarik, selalu tarik student lah kupon.
Okay, cool. Alright. Right, thanks. Okay, but that is the advantage. Okay, that is the advantage of using coupon, meaning you can buy something at the lower price. But there are also disadvantages. Why? Because when you give coupon to someone, sometimes they are non-user. So, kalau bagi coupon pun tak guna because they do not use your product. Okay, and then you sometimes when you give coupon to existing user, dan existing user ni dia memang akan beli, but then dia dapat coupon, so dia akan buy. They're not going to buy that product at the full value. Alright, meaning sekarang ni kalau dia dapat coupon, dia beli at cheaper price, meaning you miss out on your margin, akan makin kurang lah. Alright, because with or without the coupon, dia akan beli the product juga. Tapi sekarang ni dia dapat coupon. So instead of bayar RM1, katalah harga RM400, dia bayar 80 sen, for example. So you lose out on 20 cent profit. Okay, so that is one of the disadvantage. Another disadvantage is counterfeit coupon. Maksudnya kupon yang ditiru, yang diciplak, yang fake coupon. So bila dapat fake coupon ni mungkin awak akan menjual barang at the lower price, tapi sebenarnya kupon tu kupon yang fake. Alright, and then you can also use what? Contest and sweepstakes. Contest ni macam pertandingan, okay, and sweepstakes. Okay, sweepstakes ni dia a little bit from pertandingan or contest. Dia macam cabutan bertuah. Okay, sweepstake is like cabutan bertuah. So dia bukan pertandingan. Okay, you can see that contest and sweepstakes always used by companies or by brands to get people to buy the product. Okay, maksudnya dia buat pertandingan. Why do you think that pertandingan dan juga cabutan bertuah ni boleh menarik orang untuk datang membeli barang awak? Why do you think so? Pada pendapat awak. Muhammad Nur Rahman. Where is Muhammad Nur Rahman? Muhammad Nur Rahman.
Hello, hi sir.
Yes, Muhammad Nur Rahmat. Where are you?
Hi. So I cannot open the camera because
Okay.
I have the weather something connection. Okay. Soalan apa tadi saya cakap?
Soalan saya, kenapa awak rasa dalam pendapat awak pertandingan dan juga cabutan bertuah ni sangat berguna dalam menarik orang ramai untuk membeli barangan awak?
Oh, okay. So in my opinion, right, kalau if let's say
First, do you agree with my statement? Then kalau awak agree tak, baru awak jawab. Do you agree or not?
Yeah, I agree.
Then why do you think so?
Okay, because sebab apa ni, kalau contoh kita ada company and then kita ada buat nak buat promotion, tapi kita ada contest sekali. Maybe let's say if you buy a shawl, you get a Peugeot car. Macam tu. So orang akan lagi ramai orang akan cakap, wow, this is a good contest. Why not we should go macam
Why contest? Why people like contest?
People like a prize. Customer sukakan hadiah.
Suka hadiah. Tapi dia tak tentu menang pun.
Sorry?
Dia tak tentu menang pun. Saya masuk banyak kontes tak menang ke? Tapi saya masuk juga. Kenapa?
Itu sebab, okay, what as I know, itu macam orang panggil customer punya behavior, customer punya perspektif. If let's say, you buy a lot, you akan dapat barang. Kalau if in case, walaupun you beli dalam contoh, dia tak ada requirement pun, contoh beli shawl, you beli satu shawl, you still boleh dapat kontes tu. So you just go with that.
Okay, so you're talking in terms of the behavior, normal human behavior.
Yes.
Okay, for example, like for the past 2 weeks, right? When I go to KCC, I can see in that middle tu, kat tengah-tengah tu, dia ada letak kalau you buy more than RM150 in single receipt, then you can pergi dekat this machine and then dapat, dan ada bola kat situ. Dan bila buka bola tu, tengok apa hadiah yang awak boleh dapat. I can see there's long lines waiting for that, for their turn, right? So, for me, like, for RM150, no, I need to masuk dalam barisan yang panjang tu, saya tak nak. So, but then there's a lot of people who willing to beratur panjang-panjang, okay, tunggu berjam-jam untuk just dapatkan, nak guna mesin tu dapatkan bola yang ada hadiah tu, right? So, when it interests me when you say that it is a normal human behavior. Betul ke? It's like you do not know what you're going to get. You do not know whether you're going to win. But you wanted to participate in the contest. Contest makes you, excites you to do something.
Yes.
Is that a normal human behavior?
Yep.
Although you may not know what you're going to win, or you do not know whether you're going to win at all. Masuk-masuk tak menang pun. Beli beratus-ratus tapi masuk kontes tak menang.
That is macam a tricky to the customer. The more catchy your contest, the more people will interact with your contest.
Meaning to say, they need to buy the product anyway. Maksudnya dia kena beli kat barang tu. Tapi dah terlanjur beli barang, ada pula peluang untuk masuk kontes.
Yes.
So, why not? They lose nothing, right?
Yep, betul.
Alright, so okay, I take that. Okay, I take that. Now, then you also have like premiums, right? Refunds and rebates. Okay, refunds and rebates. Meaning refund and rebates. Okay, you need to differentiate between refund and rebate. Refund ni maksudnya you have paid for the product, but then the retailer or the seller refund your money. Okay, rebates meaning you have not paid the full price. Okay, but when you wanted to buy, then the seller said, okay, there's a rebate of 20%, so you pay less. Okay, maksudnya refund means you have paid first, then the seller refunding your money or part of your money. Rebate is you pay less to the seller. That is the difference between refund and rebates. And then you have sampling. Sampling means you dish out samples. Okay, samples. Like macam if you go to the pasar raya, you go to the supermarket, you can see people distributing sampling. Maksudnya macam air, juices, ke makanan ke apa untuk awak rasa. Okay. Benefit dia, maksudnya orang boleh cubalah, maksudnya boleh cuba free. This is kadang-kadang you look at, for example, like itu kalau you go to the supermarket, but Netflix pun macam tu, and Apple TV Plus pun macam tu. They say that you can use the service for 1 month, no need to pay. Alright, but then you just register your credit card atau debit card. Okay, tapi if you cancel within 1 month, then you no need to pay. But if you satisfied with our service, you only going to be charged on the next month. Maksudnya bulan kedua baru awak charge. Why do you think they do this? Why do you think that this is a good way to get people to buy your product or service? Macam Netflix dengan Apple TV Plus ni tadi. Nadira Shafira.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Kenapa teknik sampling ni, mana Nadira Shafira ni? Aku nampak Amirul Hakim.
Oh, kejap tunjuk muka
Ya.
Sorry. Macam mana, sir? Soalan dia?
Soalan saya ialah macam Netflix ni kan. Netflix dia bagi awak sampling sebab sekarang ni kita tengah bercakap tentang sampling. So orang bagi sampel. Cuba. Kalau suka beli, tak suka tak payah beli. Tapi tu macam dekat pasar raya selalu buat macam ni. Tapi sayanya soalan, Netflix dengan kebanyakan company pun guna sampling yang sama. The same technique. Tapi dia buat lebih daripada tu. Maksudnya, like Netflix. Dia kata you can sample the product. Maksudnya you can try the product for 1 month. Okay. And then, tapi sebelum nak try, daftarkan debit card ataupun credit card.
Yes.
Kita tak akan charge for the first month. Kalau you tak suka, you cancel first month. Tapi kalau suka, teruskan menengok Netflix untuk bulan kedua. Kita hanya akan...
Tapi if macam Netflix, macam kalau kita cancel membership dia tu, dalam on that month, dia still deduct kita punya ni. So tu permainan dia. Dia still deduct our money from tu. Sebab tu bila kita daftar, dia suruh minta dia minta debit card, kita punya debit card semua tu. Then kalau kita cancel membership before 1 month yang dia bagi free trial tu, but dia still deduct kita punya money from that.
Ya ke?
Sebab
kenapa?
I think sebab tu dia nak treat kita je untuk kita join. And then I think maybe dia punya marketing macam tu kot.
Yelah, maksudnya dia bijak lah. Maksudnya there's no
dia bijak lah. So if you want to kalau you nak tengok, you have to register and masukkan ni. Kalau kita tak masukkan all the card tu, kita tak boleh nak tengok movie from Netflix tu. So maybe
right. Basically a lot of companies are doing this. Sebab it's a normal human behavior. Maksudnya kalau kita for the first month, we already put in our debit or credit card punya particular. For the second month, kita is either you hook with that service, but after 1 month you already macam dah terbiasa dengan that service, right?
Yeah.
So the next month you would still just continue.
Yeah.
Ataupun keduanya, secondly, you forgot about it. You totally forgot about that whatever you have registered. Then suddenly awak sedar-sedar dah masuk second month.
Yes.
Dah masuk second month.
Sedar dah deduct.
Dia dah deduct, right?
Money.
So this is normal way of doing things lah. Maksudnya you can use this one of the strategy you can get as a marketer to get people to buy your product. You give free sampling, but free sample for 1 month. But before you can sample for 1 month, we need your credit card or debit card particulars. And hopefully that consumer forget about that. Sehinggalah bulan ketiga. Alright, so that is one way of one of the strategy juga. Alright, Nadira Syafira.
Okay.
Right, awak kat mana tadi Nadira Syafira? Awak kat mana tadi?
Saya kat rumah.
Alright. Yeah, why?
Tak ada.
Bukan dekat rumah, tempat lain.
Saya dekat rumah lah, sir.
Okay, cool. Right. Now, next slide. Planning for consumer promotion. Planning for consumer promotions. Okay. How do different types of customer respond to consumer promotion? Maksudnya, different people have different reaction to promotions. Okay, because not all people are the same. Okay, we all act differently to different things. Okay, so before you give this consumer promotion, all right, you need to look at what type of consumer yang ada. Satu, promotion prone. Promotion prone ni ialah people who are every time they see promotion they become excited. Every time they got discount they become excited. Every time they see what they call this sample, they become excited. They wanted to buy. This is promotion prone customers. Or you have brand loyalty. Brand loyalty means those who loyal to your brand. Okay, loyal to your brand. But whatever happen, they will remain loyal. Ada promotion ke, tak ada promotion ke, they will still loyal to your brand. Okay, that is meaning of brand loyalty. Kedua ialah brand preferred. Okay, brand preferred means they are not loyal, but most of the time they prefer your brand. For example, like sardin cap ayam, for example. You prefer, let's say you prefer that sardin cap ayam. Okay, setiap kali you go to pasar raya, every time you go to the shop, you will try to find sardin cap ayam. Tapi tiba-tiba hari tu sardin cap ayam tak ada, habis. So you go to the next brand, you go to Tingkap, for example. Okay, tapi kalau those who are loyal, kalau sardin cap ayam tu tak ada, dia sanggup tak beli. Dia pergi cari kat kedai lain. That is the meaning of brand loyalty. Okay, that's the difference between brand loyalty and brand preferred. Brand preferred ni dia rendah sedikit daripada brand loyal. Maksudnya dia tak setia sangat lah. And then last sekali ialah price sensitive. These are the consumer who are price conscious. Okay, they're price conscious meaning they will buy product or they will buy a brand which give them the lowest price. Okay, they are not loyal, they do not have any preferences on brands, but they will go for product or brand which offer the least price. Maksudnya yang paling murah dia akan beli. So these are 4 types of consumer. Okay, so These 4 type of consumer, they will react on promotion differently. For example, like kalau macam promotion prone, every time they got promotion, they become excited. Those who are loyal to the brand, either you have promotions or not, they will still buy your product. Brand preferred, you see that they are not loyal. Okay, they prefer your brand, but they may switch to another brand. So they may be susceptible for promotions. Maksudnya dia boleh dipengaruhi untuk membeli ataupun bertukar brand berdasarkan kepada promotions. Okay, macam brand loyalty ni awak bagilah promotion apa pun, they will not change the brand. Okay, and price sensitive, okay, these people like the one who give them the cheapest price, they will buy that product. Okay, so can you see that 4 type of customer and how they react to promotion differently?
Kan nampak kau kat luar itu. So ya ni tanyalah naik kat mana tu kat luar tu.
Alright. So semua faham? Faham ke? Guys, faham ke?
Faham.
Faham,
sir.
Faham, sir.
Thank you. Alright. Now, from now on, you won't see me. My running coach dia kata, Sharin, your heart rate is too high. Take it easy. So that's why korang tengok hari ni aku take it easy. Korang buat apa pun aku, ya ke, alright, ya layan je kan. Just I do not want to increase my heart rate. Dah. Alright. Semua faham? Dah. Okay. So can I go to the trade promotion?
Yes, sir.
Alright.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what is the trade promotion? Maksudnya trade promotion ni macam kalau tadi when we talk to customers, okay, promotion to the customers, we give incentive kepada normal customers. So kalau trade customers ataupun trade promotion, we give incentive to the traders, kepada peniaga yang nak menjual barangan kita. Itu sahaja perbezaannya. But then if you look at the incentive, you look at the promotions, most of the time are the same. Kebanyakannya sama, kupon, rebate, that sama saja, right? Kecuali kalau untuk trade promotion dia ada beberapa perbezaan. Macam for example like trade allowance. Okay, trade allowance. Allowance ni maksudnya apa yang dibayar. Okay, when let's say I give you allowance ataupun Mara give you allowance, means Mara bayar awak duit. Sama juga macam trade incentive. If you have the what you call it trade allowance, means you are giving another trader an allowance. Okay, another trader an allowance. So what is this? Kenapa awak perlu bayar pada peniaga lain untuk menjual barang awak? Okay, how is this goes? For example, like slotting fees. Okay, slotting fees. Okay, now you just imagine dekat dalam store, dalam pasar raya. Okay, dekat dalam pasar raya ada apa selalunya? You nampak macam rak-rak barangan, correct? Yang dia letak barang-barang. For example, dekat rak ini ada semua biskut. Rak yang kedua semua tepung, susu tepung, that. Can you imagine apa yang ada dalam pasar raya? Can you imagine that?
Yes, sir.
Right. So, you see that there's not much space left. Okay. So, kalau katakan like, let's say I wanted to sell my product. Okay. I wanted to sell my product. I wanted to put my product in that pasar raya, in that supermarket. Okay. So, I tell the supermarket owner, please put my product in the shelf. Okay, at the shelf of your supermarket. Now, of course, the shop owner say that, hey, look, Sharin, there are other manufacturer who wanted their product to be on the shelf. Not you alone. Okay, there are thousands of manufacturer competing for that particular space. So what is the incentive that I can give to the restaurant owner, to that shop owner? Then I can tell the shop owner, say that if you put my product onto the shelf in your shop, I give you slotting fees. I actually pay you to put my product on your shelf. And that is the meaning of slotting fees. You pay people to sell your product. You pay the shop owner to put your product on the shelf. That is the meaning of slotting fees. Okay. And then trade contest, itu sama lah. Okay, macam kalau consumer ada contest, trade pun ada contest. And then trade shows. Okay, trade shows. Yang ini yang awak tengok apa ni, yang ada pameran-pameran barangan, for example like Korean product. Okay, Korean product in Malaysia. So they have a trade shows. So those are why we have trade shows, because they wanted to tell the consumer these are the product from Korea, for example. Ni dan 5. Okay, Langkawi International Maritime and Air Show, for example. That is one of the example of trade shows. Kalau pameran pemotoran, for example, that is also trade shows, right? Okay, go to the next slide. In-store marketing. Okay, in-store marketing. So why in-store marketing is so important? Because 60% purchase decision made while in retail store. For example, you go to the retail store to buy a pack of powdered milk. Okay, that is your main intention. You wanted to buy a pack of powdered milk. That's why you go to the retail store. But while you are in the retail store, suddenly you see Super Ring, you see Chickadees, you see bubble gum, you see gardenia bread, you know that. So suddenly you say, oh, I wanted to buy all these things. Okay, so according to research, 60% of purchase decision are made in the retail store. Okay, so that's why in-store marketing is quite important. So and then 52% in-store signage, display, open on purchase display influence their decision. So how do you get people to decide to buy that product while they are in the store? So you need to have signage, displays, posters, videos. Okay, some, for example, in some big supermarket, they have videos. They ada plasma TV with videos. Alright, and then they show, for example, like healthcare, okay, product, for example. You go to the supermarket not to buy healthcare product, but then when you look at the video, then they say, oh, I wanted to buy this as well. Okay, so 60% decision made in the retail store, and 52% says displays, signage will influence the decision to buy product in store. Okay, and then how have in-store marketing and point on purchase display evolved into effective communication and sales tools? So you can engage the consumer through signage, ceiling banners. This is something that you can look at the supermarket yourself. Okay, you go to the supermarket, you go and see what are the signage you can see in the in-store supermarket. And how does it attract you? How does it try to attract your attention? Okay, this is something that you can go and see for yourself in in-store marketing. Lepas ni awak pergi, lepas kelas ni pergi ke supermarket and see how macam mana dia signage marketing ni. Okay, how does it attract your attention? Right. Includes display, signs and device used to identify, advertise or merchandise and outlet service or product. Ini samalah. Okay, this is a point of purchase marketing. But then you may wanted to ask me, Sharin, why they call it point of purchase marketing? what is the different from the normal marketing that we marketing techniques that we learn before this, macam we learn about social media, we learn about posters, we learn about mass media. So why we call this point of purchase marketing? Okay, so they call it point of purchase marketing because this marketing, they do this marketing at the last minute. It is not through social media, it is not through mass media, but while you are in the store, okay, you buy this product. Okay, you buy this product, you when you go to the store, as I said just now, when you go to the store, your main attention or your main intention is not to buy that product. Okay, your main intention to go to that store because you wanted to buy something else. But terlanjur you are in the store, you see the point of purchase marketing, then suddenly you buy that product in the spur of the moment. Tiba-tiba awak rasa you need that product. So this is like a marketing at the last minute. When you're about to pay for something else, then you see another product. You see another point of purchase marketing. Then you are attracted to buy that product. For example, like dekat counter tu you see a lot of chewing gums, bubble gums, sweets, chocolate, right? Why they put it in front of the counter? Why? Because when you're about to pay for your main product, then you see a chewing gum and say that, okay, the chewing gum looks nice. It cost me like RM1 something, so I just buy lah. Okay, this is another one. Okay, so that's why they call it point of purchase marketing. They try to get your attention at the very last minute. Okay, now, so what if we wanted to equate that with integrated marketing communication, for example? So this point of purchase marketing is like reminding the consumer at the very last minute. You have your product advertised in the social media. You have your product advertised in the mass media. You have your product advertised in the old media, new media, you know that, at the billboard and everything. You have been reminding this consumer about your product everywhere, all right? And yet the consumer have not made any decision to buy your product. So they went to store to buy something else. So this point of purchase marketing is your last minute reminder to the consumer about your product. And hopefully it will trigger the urgency of the consumer to buy your product. Okay, so that's how point of purchase marketing fit into your IMC. How does it fit into your integrated marketing communication? Alright? So got it? Dapat ke? Dapat? Cool? Alright.
Yes, sir.
Then next slide. 50% of Coca-Cola. This is another fact, yeah. 50% of Coca-Cola soft drinks sales are made from the regular store shelf. Okay, now what's the meaning of regular store shelf? Okay, if you go to any store, you can see, for example, you go to, let's say, 7-Eleven. You can see Coca-Cola dalam fridge, dalam cooler. Okay, dalam dalam cooler kat fridge kat belakang tu kan. Awak akan nampak Coca-Cola dekat belakang tu. You can also see Coca-Cola dekat display kat depan. Somewhere dekat-dekat dengan counter ataupun in the middle of the 7-Eleven. Dan dia akan letak juga Coca-Cola dekat situ. So according to the statistic, 50% of Coca-Cola drink sales are made from that regular store shelf. Maksudnya orang tak beli dekat chiller, orang beli dekat display dekat tengah-tengah 7-Eleven tu. That is based on their research. Okay, based on the research, 50% of the Coca-Cola drinks are made from that regular store shelf, bukan dekat dalam chiller. Okay, so that's maksudnya sambil orang nak keluar, nak pergi bayar, dia nampak Coca-Cola. So why not belilah Coca-Cola sekali. Okay. Right. And then 50% of the Coca-Cola sales are the result of product display in other parts of the store. Maksudnya, dia letak Coca-Cola tu dekat mana-mana. Okay, dekat everywhere in the stores. Okay, because 50% orang ambil dekat Bikadiri apa yang awak suka tu. 50% awak letak dekat normal shelf. 50% sales coming from anywhere of the stores. Okay, so this is based on statistic, based on research. And then 9% increase of sales using POP display. Meaning to say, you can increase the chance of people buying your product by having POP displays. Okay, your chance of people buying your product will increase 9% if you have displays, POP displays in the store. Alright. And let's look at effective product displays. Okay, apa product display yang efektif? Maksudnya, apa ciri-ciri display ataupun poster POP yang efektif? One, to integrate the brand image into the displays. Then integrate the display with current advertising and promotion. For example, if you go to 7-Eleven, okay, 7-Eleven, dia ada letak one basket to go. Maksudnya untuk dihabiskan. Okay, you can see lah kadang-kadang ada pisang, ada coke, ada chocolate. Okay, they put in the basket. Can see right in 7-Eleven. And then make displays dramatic to get attention. Ni saya tak tahu macam mana awak nak being dramatic untuk mendapatkan perhatian orang membeli barang. How to become dramatic to get attention kat dalam store. Okay, can you give any suggestion? Big. Macam mana nak dramatik untuk mendapatkan perhatian di dalam kedai?
Dramatik? Daripada segi apa tu saya?
Tu saya tanya awak ni, awak ada any ideas tak macam mana nak become dramatic to get attention?
Apa tu kita buat musical?
Musical?
So kita menari ramai and then promote barang tu. So orang macam lepas tu orang macam budak-budak pun kan biasa musical kan orang bawa kostum semua kan. So budak-budak semua tu macam tertumpuk kat situ lah. And then last dia tunjuk barang tu. Coco Crunch macam tu lah.
How about macam let's say a display macam what they call this demonstration macam dia nak buat juice. Because I think I went to Cold Storage. Kat depan tu kadang-kadang dia letak those people buat demonstration macam mana nak buat juice pomegranate. Kan they put some Arabs there untuk buat display ataupun demonstration macam mana nak buat juice pomegranate. And then ramai yang beratur-ratur untuk membeli pomegranate tersebut. Dia buat macam-macam gaya lah macam mana nak extract pomegranate itu. Okay, so I think that's one way of being dramatic.
Tapi Sir, macam dulu kan masa saya form 4 kan, saya ada kerja dekat kedai mainan Amlis kan. So every orang kata setiap hari Isnin kita orang akan ada buat demonstration macam mana mainan tu. Kira macam ada satu tempat tu kita pergi kat customer and dia tunjuk mainan ni macam mana semua. So dekat situ pun boleh juga. Macam tu pun boleh juga rasa kan?
Yes. Boleh lah tu, dramatic. Dan you, of course, tak ada awak just tunjuk, right? Awak macam you need to interact with the consumer and all that. Buat drama sedikit, buat gelak, buat jokes, right? Correct? To attract the attention. So I think that is the meaning of dramatic display to get attention, yeah? And then keep the colors of the display down so the product will stand out. Means you wanted to, the star of that presentation is the product, not the display. So you need to get the color of the display less visible compared to the product. Why? Because you wanted to show the product. Okay, but then this is debatable juga. Okay, debatable sebab you may argue that the display is to get the attention. Sebab daripada jauh, for example, orang tak tengok produk, orang tengok display first, right? So this is debatable, ya, debatable. You can this is right or wrong. Okay, there's no right or wrong answer here. And then display so versatile to be adapted by retailers. Maksudnya kalau awak letak display tu, susah sangat nak pasang display tu. So retailers pun tak tahu macam nak pasang, pun susah juga. So you need to make the display very easy to be assembled. And then display reusable and easy to assemble lah. This sama juga. Make the display easy to stock. For example, like kotak, for example. When you, let's say you jual, let's say mineral water, you put it in a box. Alright. So you make that box multifunctional. It can be used for storage as well as you can convert that box into a display. Korang boleh imagine tak? Yang kalau pergi kat pasar raya, diorang letakkan box tu, it serve two purpose. One as storage, easy for you to storage the mineral water, and also as a display. Can you imagine that? Pernah nampak tak dekat supermarket?
Pernah saya pernah nampak.
Alright. So that you got the idea. And then customize the display fit the retailer store. Maksudnya kena tema your display tu kena dengan tema retail store yang awak nak display the product. Alright. Finish. Alright. Ada soalan tak? It's not very much to discuss today.
Sir, kalau macam yang saya cakap tadi tu kan, display tu kena dengan tema kan. Contohnya macam IKEA kan. Dia kan daripada Sweden kan. So basically tema dia kebanyakannya macam Sweden punya style kan, macam dia punya tempat makan. Itulah apa yang saya cakap masukkan kan.
Yes. Maksudnya you need to go, okay, to understand this, you need to go out. You need to go out, right? You need to go to the supermarket and see for yourself. How do they display goods? You go to IKEA, how do they display the product? Macam IKEA, okay, one good thing about IKEA is they're not only selling the furniture, but they also give you the imagination. Means they try to display on how to use that furniture. Macam mana nak decorate bilik gunakan furniture yang ada, yang dia jual. Alright, for example, like you go to the whole IKEA tu, dia ada banyak display room, betul tak? Ada bilik, ada dapur, ada office, ada bilik, ada rumah yang macam yang kecil, you know that kan? So,
lagipun
yes.
Lagipun saya macam IKEA kan, dia punya layout pun dia layout dia tu kira kita masuk tu kita nampak living room. Sebab tu lepas tu nampak tu, and then macam kita masuk rumah lah. Macam kita masuk rumah kita nampak living room. Lepas tu so dia bagi idea kat situ lah untuk kita design rumah kita.
Yes, maksudnya they play with our imagination. Maksudnya our house can look like this. Okay, even if we have a small spaces, but then it can fit a lot of furnitures. Macam bilik study saya ni kecil saja, but then I can use barang-barang atau perabot yang macam can fit my small study room. Okay, it plays with your imagination. Sebab tu orang ramai pergi IKEA. I think most of people who goes to IKEA tu bukan nak beli barang pun, dia just nak tengok, you know, just imagine rumah dia can be like this.
Lepas tu saya tak gambar.
Okay, dekat
warehouse
antara rak 15 hingga ke 13.
Tempat tu selalu lah.
Okay, I do not know why. Okay, now I ask you guys why. Kenapa Kenapa that place it become Instagrammable place?
Maybe sebab dia unik kot. Sebab macam tak ada lagi kedai yang sebesar, orang kata macam biasanya gudang tu hanya boleh masuk pekerja je kan. Tapi kalau kat IKEA ni customer pun boleh masuk juga. So macam
yes, tapi kalau awak pergi dekat Tesco pun dia ada gak rak-rak yang macam tu, tapi kenapa awak tak ambil gambar kat Tesco?
Orang imagine rumah dia orang macam tu sir.
Itu kalau ambil gambar dekat tu bukan ni bukan gambar dekat display tu, ni gambar yang dekat
warehouse.
Dekat kan awak akan pergi dekat display kan, lepas tu you will see katakan perabot E dia dekat aisle nombor 15, rak nombor 10 for example.
Ni sebelum check out.
Sebelum nak keluar. Dekat warehouse tu awak pergi ambil the kotak, betul tak? Kan? Orang selalu ambil gambar kat situ. Soalan saya kenapa kat situ?
Nampak cantik and kemas kot sir. Macam it looks very aesthetically, macam everything is supposed to be in a specific space dia.
Okay.
Maybe lah.
It just kotak dan rak. Itu je. Alright. But why? I think sekarang tak ada lagi lah. It's not a trend. But then there's one time a lot of people setiap kali aku tengok my student punya Instagram, dia akan ambil gambar kat situ. Aku tak tahu kenapa. I tried once. Okay, aku pun berdiri kat situ, ask my wife to take my picture there. And then I look at the picture. And I tried to find the answer. Why is this place is so Instagrammable? Then Norizo Husna kata nampak cantik. Okay, what define cantik there? Apa maksud awak cantik di situ? Rak banyak-banyak, then awak kata kat situ cantik. So how do you define cantik?
Dia tak cantik. Dia macam
maybe dia influence daripada Insta famous.
Trend. Sir.
Okay, trend. Okay, that's one explanation. Okay, now kenapa yang Insta famous tu ambil gambar kat situ at the first place? Now, sebab Norizo Husna kata tempat tu cantik. I wanted to know that because it's when I'm doing that kind of research, meaning the aesthetic of the content. Maksudnya content tu kena nampak estetik. So when you say cantik, then it get me excited. I wanted to know what is the characteristic of cantik based on millennials punya definition. Kenapa millennial rasa antara rak-rak tu nampak cantik?
I think angle dia sir. Sebab dari segi angle dia, maksudnya macam basically diorang akan diri kat tengah-tengah tu kan. Tengah-tengah laluan tu.
Alright.
Then rak kiri kanan tu kan tinggi kan. So basically kalau macam ambil gambar tu dia akan macam mengecil macam tu. The person that picture dia akan jadi stand out lah gambar dia tu.
Meaning from big going toward nampak kecil, besar kecil
sampai. Yes. So benda tu lawa lah.
So nampak kurus lah.
Perspektif tu.
Nampak kurus.
And then from different angles mungkin orang tu nampak macam tinggi sikit ke kan.
Okay, alright. Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks for making me understand. Okay, kind of understand what you guys mean by aesthetic and cantik. Alright. So you guys looking at the perspective, you're looking at uniqueness, you're looking for geometry punya shape. Maksudnya awak nampak pattern geometry di situ, correct? Okay.
Yes sir.
Alright. Okay, cool. Thanks for the education. Right now, okay, look, for the week 8 sales promotion, point of purchase, advertising and support media. If I need to advise you guys, can you also look at all the materials yang saya letakkan di situ? Okay. Maksudnya macam all the articles yang saya letak kat situ, because kalau ada soalan-soalan okay about sales promotion, point of purchase and support media, soalan-soalan dia bukan yang saya ajar kat dalam kelas ni tau. Dia soalan-soalan dia isu-isu yang berkaitan dengan this. Maksudnya, for example like kenapa online store perlukan chatbot, for example. Okay. I'm not talking, dekat kelas saya tak cakap pasal chatbot pun. Tapi itu adalah isu-isu yang berkaitan. Okay. And then how COVID-19 influence holiday shopping. And this is maybe a hot topic juga because we are not in COVID. Okay, we are not in pandemic. And then how this COVID-19 influence your shopping behavior. Okay. Alright, macam tadi kan, macam kita tengok kepada, we look at Ranza punya website. So if you, bila COVID ni orang tak pergi sangat ke pasar raya. Okay, so orang beli daripada website. So how do you arrange your website? Even if they go to pasar raya pun. So how this COVID-19 influence or behavior orang pergi ke pasar raya? What this supermarket need to have to attract people to come to the supermarket? Okay, amid this pandemic. Maksudnya, walaupun dengan pandemik ni, bagaimana pemilik pasar raya nak menarik orang untuk datang ke pasar raya untuk membeli. So this is some interesting topic that you need to baca lah. Maksudnya saya dah letak kat situ, you go and read. Soalan-soalan dia akan berkisar di situ saja. Okay, because they won't ask you about coupon, apa itu coupon. They don't ask you what is discount and all that. But they will talk about current issues. Okay, so I will always put in the current issues in the VLE so you can read. So soalan-soalan dia lebih berkisar on current issues. Okay, things that I put in the VLE. Alright. Okay, any question tak before I end the class? You need to remember, you need to submit your individual assignment, ya, 11 of April. Okay, it is this Sunday. 11 hari bulan ialah this Sunday, Ahad ini. So remember to submit your individual assignment through the VLE. Alright, siapa yang tak buat lagi tu sila buat.
Okay, sir.
Sir, nak cakap macam mana?
Ya, nak apa?
Sir nak apa tu assignment tu, saya nak macam mukadimah dia sikit tak, macam function big data tu apa ke macam mana?
Oh, alright. Maksudnya introduction dia nak cakap apa? Yes. Okay. In every assignment, okay, this is your assignment is about what? Big data, is it? Big data and how it's
Right, marketers.
Because a lot of assignment, aku pun lupa apa aku bagi kat kau orang. Sekejap individual assignment. What are the prerequisites of really useful data in improving consumer life as a result of that information? First, talking about big data. Then, so the question is actually asking you what are the data that would enable you to improve your product offering to the consumer. So basically that is the question. Okay, maksudnya data apa yang awak perlukan untuk awak gunakan untuk come up with a certain product.
Sir,
yes.
Kalau macam saya buat citation boleh kan? Based on article.
Yes, but then you need to tell me what is the citation, the reference lah, awak letak dekat referencing.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And then to answer Norizul Husna's question, what is the mukadimah? Yes, of course. In every assignment, basically there are 3 parts to your assignment. In every assignment, okay, there always been 3 parts. One is introduction, second is the content, last is the conclusion. Right? So in the introduction, basically you need to talk about big data. Okay, you can talk about big data. What is big data? You can talk about what is the trend of big data. What is the current trend? Then you can. This is where you put in all the numbers lah, the statistic, the graph, the trend. Because when you wanted to show the trend, of course there will be graph. Of course there will be statistic. Of course there will be numbers, right? Because you wanted to look at the how big data helps marketers. And then you talk about information. What are about data? What are the data that then you go to the content. Okay, the content is what are the data that really useful for you as a marketer. Apa data yang paling penting kepada awak sebagai seorang marketer? Right? And then kenapa data itu penting kepada awak? That is the content. That is the content. And then dia punya conclusion tu, you try to conclude from your argument dekat content tu, then what is your conclusion? Apa kesimpulan yang awak dapat daripada perbincangan awak di dalam contents tersebut? So basically in all assignment, dia ada 3 bahagian yang penting. Introduction, content and conclusion, ada kesimpulan. So to answer your question, for your introduction, yes, mukadimah dia, you need to explain about what is big data. Not only what is big data, what is the trend of big data, and why is big data is useful as for you to for you as a marketer. That is your mukadimah. So your mukadimah can be 1 pages or can be one page or 2 pages long, no problem. But please limit your answer not more than 10 pages. Then you need to be economical lah. Kalau tak lebih, awak ada banyak, a lot of things to talk about. Okay, but you only have 10 pages, your limit. So you need to strategize.
Okay, thank you.
Berapa banyak mukadimah, berapa banyak content, berapa banyak conclusion. Tapi okay, I need to remind you guys, selalunya student letak conclusion dia 1 paragraph. Okay, now conclusion ni is what is your understanding about your perbincangan just now. For example, in the content, di tengah-tengah tu awak dah berbincang, right? And then the conclusion is something that you need to explain what you have found. What is what is literally, or what is apa yang tersurat dan tersirat. What is what do you think we can learn from your discussion? What has not been told in your discussion, or what been told in the numbers? Okay, you try to read between the lines. Okay, you try to give meanings. What is the impact to the marketers? Okay, from your discussion, what is the impact to the marketers? So, your conclusion most probably like 1 page or 2 page, something like that. Okay, because your conclusion is something that your own voice. Maksudnya, macam tadi yang someone tanya pasal citations and referencing. Maksudnya kalau awak buat dekat mukadimah dengan content tu, you always referring to something. Then you need to put in your referencing and citations. But dekat conclusion tu is your own voice. So you don't need to put in your citations because it is your own opinion, your own understanding about the subject matter. So I would love to see your conclusion, because your conclusion tu is your own voice. Kalau awak letak 1 paragraph as your conclusion, saya macam ini je yang awak faham tentang this subject matter. Okay, 1 paragraph je. There's only 1 paragraph to describe what you have understand from the discussion. So that is meaning I can see that you only know how to paraphrase. You only know how to borrow someone else's voice, but you do not have your own voice. You do not have your own thoughts and thinking and opinions. So your conclusion is very important. That's where I can see your voice, your opinions is there in your conclusions. Okay, so your conclusion need to be at least 1 or 2 page. Okay, because that is your own opinion.
Sir, kalau pasal assignment tu kan ada yang cakap both structured and unstructured. Yang tu nak kena explain juga ke?
Structured and unstructured kat mana ni? Kat mana?
Kan ada
structured and unstructured. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, big data is not new kind of data. It is proliferation of data sources, both structured and unstructured. Yes. Maksudnya you need to tell lah what is the meaning of structured data sources. What is the meaning of unstructured data sources? Okay. Now, Nuriza Husna and the rest. Why I put in big data? Because I think I explained this earlier. Big data is the new tool for marketers. Okay, new tool for marketers is the future. It is now being used for marketers, and in future, the role of big data will become more prominent for marketing. So I wanted you to be familiarized with big data. So please do a lot of research on what is big data and how big data helps marketing. I wanted you to know that. I wanted you to do research on that. Kalau okay, then the question is, kalau nak letak gambar rajah ke? Okay, yes, please do so. Okay, I like colors, I like graphic, I like infographics. So please do so. Janganlah letak semua ayat-ayat cinta dalam tu. Okay, I become so bored. Nanti saya punya heart rate lagi tinggi. Right, so you put in graphic, you know, that just to spice up your assignments. Alright.
Sir.
Yes.
Nak tanya soalan boleh? Tapi bukan soalan yang berkaitan dengan assignment lah. Macam dia kita patah balik sikit je. Yang dekat IKEA tadi tu.
Right.
Kan IKEA kan tanya pasal yang kan saya tanya pasal rak tu kan. Yang diorang tak gambar semua kan. So saya rasa macam diorang tak gambar dekat IKEA tu sebab kalau macam yang kita tahu IKEA kan terkenal dengan dia punya price, harga kan. Kualiti barang kan. So basically IKEA tu memang dah nama besar kan sebab datang daripada Sweden kan. So kan sekarang kita comparekan dengan Tesco tadi kan. Tesco pun ada rak yang panjang semua tu boleh tak gambar kat situ kan. So saya rasa macam kenapa diorang lebih tak gambar dekat IKEA sebab IKEA dia ada orang kata nama lah. Orang kata kira kalau post dekat IKEA tu orang akan lebih tertarik berbanding dengan Tesco tu. Sebab Tesco tu basically just tempat untuk orang beli barang semua. Macam IKEA ni lebih terkenal, betul ke?
Okay, yes. Okay, that is an interesting point. Usually I ask this question dekat my other class, dekat consumer behavior. How do you behave like that? But since you brought it up, what are you saying, Vic? When you say that IKEA ada nama, but Tesco, well, it's nothing to shout about kalau ambil gambar dekat Tesco. But kalau ambil gambar kat IKEA, there is something for you to shout about. So what does it mean? What are you trying to say? About the behavior of millennials.
Maybe diorang sedikit judge lah. Macam dari segi tu.
Showing by, okay, what you trying to show to your audience?
Maksudnya macam
I'm just asking. So what do the millennials try to show? What is the behavior of the millennials here?
Behavior dia sedikit just lah, just macam dari segi orang kata pandangan lah, macam tak gambar kat Tesco macam ni.
Ada sedikit kelas, is it?
Kelas.
Okay, now are you saying that millennials pentingkan nama, pentingkan jenama, pentingkan what they call this, they wanted to look good, wanted to show off, perhaps?
Ya, sebab diorang kan millennial sekarang ni kan beli barang off-white.
Bukan
off-white lah.
Millennials. Awak lah millennials.
Saya.
So we are talking actually about your guys punya behavior. Alright. So maksudnya millennials ni actually you guys wanted to be seen as what? You able to buy that stuff, is it?
Kira kan barang IKEA kan orang kata bervalue kan. Orang kata macam harga dia tak mahal, cuma macam terkenal lah, macam value IKEA tu kan dah besar dia sebab daripada Sweden kan, sebab dia dah lama dah. So bila bawa ke Malaysia ni macam dia akan jadi popular lah. So kalau siapa yang datang IKEA tu, diorang just nak bergambar je, tak beli pun barang.
Ataupun nak makan meatball,
ataupun makan meatball. Tu pun meatball ambil yang 6 pieces je. Yang kids ni.
Alright. So okay, maksudnya that tells something about the behavior of the millennials lah. Maksudnya walaupun you okay, now why? Okay, macam kalau aku ambil gambar dekat IKEA, my generation for example, right? I tell my contemporaries that are in IKEA, dia macam kata macam okay, so IKEA, so what? Okay, but then kalau millennials ambil gambar dekat IKEA, then they show it to their friends. I am in IKEA. It means something for them. It means something to their peers. Kenapa?
Wait, sir. Macam sir punya generation, sir, you already have the money. But for millennials, for someone of our age, we're still studying. Mana kita orang dapat that amount of money? So it shows macam a background lah. You're rich, you're not rich. Somewhat macam tu. Macam if, okay, macam Tesco dengan IKEA kan. We take Tesco dengan Costa Ridge. People yang millennial ni will go to Costa Ridge sebab macam, barang kat situ lagi quality lah. Padahal it's the same thing and it's overpriced. Benda-benda macam tu lah. To me.
Right. Okay, cool. How about to be seen as hip? Nampak hip. Is that also a factor? Okay, Noriza Husna, before you answer that question, okay, I just wanted to share with you the incident last night. Okay, maksudnya last night what happened to me. So at 8 o'clock at night, my wife told me, let's go and buy Starbucks. Tapi tak nak turun, nak pergi beli what they call this drive-thru. Okay, drive-thru. So aku pergi drive, okay, Ampang, the queue is too long, then I go to MR2. You know there's a Starbucks drive-thru dekat MR2 yang dekat dengan, dia satu building dengan Petronas, sebelah Shell. Just before Seleko nak masuk ke Pantai Timur, you know that, right? So I went there, drive-thru. So of course queue panjang juga. So in front of me ada satu kereta Myvi, right? Kereta Myvi. And kat dalam tu I can see two millennials. Perempuan, 2 orang bertudung. Alright? And it is so obvious from my car, from my driving seat. I can see that these two people, and these two millennials, dia tengah buat it's either IG live ataupun dia tengah buat TikTok. Why? Because dia punya screen, I can see the screen of dia punya smartphone tu. Okay, from the screen I can see dia dua orang ni tengah buat apa. Seorang tengah menari lah, tengah bercakap lah and all that. So I told my wife, dia orang ni tengah buat TikTok ke tengah buat apa IG live. Because lama, okay, lama. Sebab dia punya queue tu panjang, so I can just observe the behavior of these 2 millennials before dekat kereta depan. So nak beli Starbucks pun, tengah queue beli Starbucks, dia boleh buat IG live ataupun TikTok. Most probably, I can bet around 98% I'm sure that dia tengah cakap dia tengah queue untuk beli Starbucks.
Betul.
Alright.
Betul.
Alright.
Starbucks sedap.
Right. So what is this millennials trying to say? Oh, aku tengah queue nak beli Starbucks. Buat IG live. Padahal aku kalau menunggu, aku punya tunggu boring. No. Daripada pukul 8, I reach home around 10 o'clock. Just to buy 2 cup of Starbucks. Tak ada fikir pun aku nak buat IG live. Of course lah, my wife Nazatul Shima akan kata, I object to that. You got IG story pergi beli Starbucks, right? Malam tadi. No. My wife ambil gambar aku tengah tunggu. Okay. So aku masukkan dalam IG live, IG story. Okay. To my defense. My wife yang ambil gambar. But these 2 millennials kat depan, dia buat IG live around 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes dekat depan kamera. Sebab sambil tunggu queue nak beli Starbucks. So what is this? Relate dengan cerita dekat IKEA, Noriza Husna talks about having the means to buy something. Means if you are in IKEA, means you have that means ataupun ada kemampuan untuk beli barang kat IKEA. These 2 millennials kat depan aku, kereta kat depan aku, they have the means to buy Starbucks. So what is this millennial try to tell you, that you guys what? You guys you don't have the means, but if you have the means, you need to show off, is it? You not to show off, that's a very bad word. Meaning like you are different from your peers. Is that correct? Meaning you try to differentiate yourself with your peers.
Maybe so.
Meaning to say that you wanted to show that you're unique, is it?
Yeah. For me, I think because nowadays people are do it for the gram, so they just want to upload it to their feeds in Instagram. So just because on that purpose only.
Alright. Okay. Hey guys, I'm sorry that we go off a little bit off from our topic. Okay, this discussion excites me because I always wanted to understand your behavior because I'm teaching behavior anyway. So this discussion enlightened me, and you guys are teaching me. Usually, I think that I'm not really teaching you guys. You guys are teaching me something. Okay, in every classes, there are something that you guys teaching me about your behavior, and it's a good thing. So I can conclude that basically your millennials' behavior are the same with other generations. Correct? Because generation, even Gen X, like me, we have the tendency to show off as well in a different ways. But from this discussion, I can conclude that even millennials also wanted to show off in your own way. Correct? Am I right? Betul kah? Ke aku tersalah tafsir from this discussion? Guys?
Betul sir.
Betul sir.
Betul.
Okay, correct. Okay. Thank you for the discussion. Alright, if there's no question, so next week we going to talk. Next week dah cuti ke belum? When is your
Belum, sir.
belum. Alright. So next week there's another class, is it?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes,
so we go to week 9 punya topic, which is event sponsorship, product placement and branded entertainment. Okay. So that is the what we're going to cover next week. Alright. Ada case study. Case study tak ada. Alright, case study tak ada. So next week tak ada perbincangan tentang case study. We going straight dive into event sponsorship, product placement and branded entertainment. So you can read whatever materials yang ada tu before you come to class. Alright guys, see you next week.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.